All right, God's revolution. Bye bye. Justice, community, and the coming kingdom. You see, justice, community, and the coming kingdom. All right, let's see what we got over here. Some more books by this guy, by Herbert Eberhard, Eberhard Arnold. Inner Land, a guide into the heart and soul of the Bible. Why we live in community, the early Christians in their own words. Salt and light, live in the Sermon on the Mount. The individual and the world need against the wind. Okay. All right, this crumbling world and the God's coming order. Let's wait a minute. So what is this God's coming? Or how old is this? 97. Hold on a second. Make this video kind of short because I heard something outside. The first printing was 1984. The new order fleshed out the individual and the community, peace and the rule of God. Let's go to non-violence and the refusal to bear arms. No. World poverty and suffering. Let's see what he got to say there. 176. World and poverty. There we go. Boom. Am I guilty? When we speak of a radical social revolution, of turning everything upside down, of bringing in the reign of God's justice, we can only do so if we are deeply convinced that such an upheaval will affect us all quite personally. You and me, every single one of us, as part of humankind, we ourselves have to be thrown over and then put back on our feet. We are all responsible for the social injustice, the human degradation, the wrongs people inflict on each other, both public and private. Each of us bears guilt toward all humankind because we are deaf and blind to their degradation and humiliation. I wonder where they have these dates on the bottom of it, right? I don't know what the dates mean. That's interesting. Yeah, wow. I guess this is when he wrote all this stuff because it's all kind of around the same time. He didn't. This book isn't from. Yeah, all this is all from 1920s, 1915. So I'm guessing that this old guy, he's old. Yeah, Eberhard Arnold. They just didn't publish this book until later. Lay down your own life. Like, am I guilty? Was basically saying that we're all guilty for each and every one of our sufferings, right? If you want suffering, kind of like what Michael Jackson said, if you want change in the world, look in the mirror and make a change, right? Okay. Lay down your own life. We live in poverty and without personal possessions. We do this for love of Christ and for the sake of those who are poorer than we are, the very poorest. There is such an endless amount of misery that wealth and influence are unbearable to anyone living in the love of Christ. Yeah, okay. Injustice rule in the world today. As long as this continues, there will always be poor people. I disagree with that a little bit. There's many reasons why there's poor people, not just because they don't believe in God or whatever. It is idle to ask what we would do if if there were no more poor. Even a rigidly enforced social system has not managed to do away with poverty. Therefore, Jesus says, the poor you have with you always. And the Old Testament has it, the poor will always be with you in the land. Yet this love for the poor cannot be the final thing. It must be surpassed by by love to God, Christ says. You will not always have me with you. Matt 26:11. On the other hand, we must not let our love for God cause us to neglect love to the poor. Out of love to God, we should love our neighbor. If we see your brother or sister in need and say God will help you and give nothing, though you have this world's goods, where is your love to God? James 2:15 and 16. I like that. I really do like that. It's because it's kind of, I'm not really with the whole religious part of everything, right? Because that can be interpreted way too many different ways. But if let's just go through just cut through the meat right there. And what he says is, I mean, that's cool. I like that way of thinking. I really like that because he's kind of like, if you got all the money in the world and you see somebody in need and you're like, well, God's going to help you, but you yourself do nothing, then you're not a godly person, because God gives you the gift to be able to help others. So maybe you are that messenger of God, that you're telling this other person, God will help you. I don't know if that made sense, right? In that split second of time, you have the power of God because you can help that person. So by you saying God will help you and you doing nothing, then you are refusing the faith of God, or the luxuries of God, or whatever you want to say. That was pretty interesting. I like that. So we'll get back to God's revolution, and what was it? Pain and suffering, or something like that. Poverty and suffering. I get this, but it's not bad. Not bad. You know what I'm saying? I would never really thought about reading it in the beginning, but hey, this is part of the reason why we're doing this. So when you get a box, right, of random books, just look through it. You never know what you're gonna find. It's like life is like a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're gonna get.